Welcome to Caching in the Northwest. You know, this is the official podcast of GeoWoodstock 18 right here in the great Pacific Northwest. Each week, we're going to talk about caches and cachers from here and all around the globe. So while you're practicing your hula hooping, we'll be caching in the Northwest. And you know, we can't do that until we bring in a sickly sock monkey. Some say his laugh is as contagious as his cough. And others say he stars in The Real Husbands of Geocaching. All we know is he's called Land Monkey.
Hello, my friend. How are you doing tonight?
I think I'm much better than you are.
You are,
Yeah.
but I'm going to hold it together to do a podcast because, you know, I'm here for the people. I'm here for our regular viewers who tune in and make this a special evening for us. So,
well, and this is the safest way for anybody to communicate these days.
Yes, it is.
Right? Not just for a sick monkey, but for anyone in the world, this is the best way to communicate. Right now, we are having a good group discussion in the safety of our own little space.
That's right. And this is not the first time I've been called one sick monkey. So,
oh, that's true.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I mean, this time I believe it's either based on bacteria or a virus.
Yeah.
But, you know, not just your mental well-being.
And it is indeed the common cold. So
how common is it?
Well, it's quite common. Given everything going on in the news these days, it's nothing to worry about. Nothing to see here, people. Keep moving.
You have the CBC radio voice.
There you go. Awesome. Yes, my boss refers to it as the Kathleen Turner voice. I think I prefer CBC radio voice.
Okay.
We'll go with that. So yeah, practice our hula hooping. It's the anniversary of the hula hoop, eh?
Did you know that?
I did not know that until you shared that little factoid.
Okay, so here I'm going to share some more.
Okay.
Just because I like to share.
All right.
Whammo has become the most successful manufacturer of hula hoops in modern times. They trademarked the name hula hoop and started manufacturing the toy out of a new plastic Marlex in 1958. Now, on May 13th, 1959, Arthur Mellon applied for his patent on this version of the hula hoop. He received the patent on this day in 1963. Get this, 20 million Whammo hula hoops sold for $1.98 in the first 6 months.
Wow.
There you go.
20 million at $2 a piece.
Yeah.
That's a lot of dollars.
That's a lot of dollars. And, you know, they're all made out of Marlex, which I had no idea what Marlex was before this. I still don't really know.
It's a type of plastic.
It is.
All right. And we're being asked in the chat, is there no Wits End tonight? Udak, thank you for asking. No, he's traveling, so he is not able to join us tonight. So
he's traveling for work, and you know, he's quite all right with it this time.
Yes. Different scenario.
Exactly.
All right. Well, tonight we're going to talk about Adventure Labs, but we're not going to go into a lot of details about what they are or how to put one together. We're going to talk about what's up with Adventure Labs because I don't know about you, but I've noticed a lot of Adventure Labs popping up all of a sudden, and we're going to talk about that tonight.
We should.
Yeah. So I'll try and reduce any monkey rants tonight, but you know, we'll talk about Adventure Labs.
But they're going to happen. Let me save your voice.
Okay.
Because you are going to have a monkey rant or two or more. We don't have those scripted, folks. Those are completely unscripted monkey rants, and you're only going to find them here.
There you go. Special just for you.
Hold on. That may not have been a selling point.
Well, you know what? Before we get into any of that, let's also throw out a quick reminder that we do appreciate the support of our patrons who help to keep the podcast coming each and every week. And that, of course, includes the Land Sharks, our corporate Denali level sponsor. This the latest special from the Land Sharks is the How to Puzzle Cache book and supplement. If you want to check that out, make sure you visit landsharkswithaz.ca. And hey, if you want to know more about supporting this show, click that Patreon link on the cachingnw.com, a website.
That's right. Now, Greenward says, I got one last week.
Awesome.
I wonder if that's a cold, a
Oh,
hula hoop, or
the book.
the book. Yeah.
So if it's the book or a hula hoop, awesome. Congrats. If it's a cold, I'm so sorry.
Hmm. Oh, it could have been an adventure lab as well.
Ah, there you go. Yes.
And so did Dora Moore.
Ah,
Didn't ask for one, but apparently that's not an issue, she says.
yes. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Yes. All right.
Oh, you
But
know
before
what
we
else?
talk about that,
Yeah, I know. We talked about Dora Moore. You know, Dora Moore is special in our hearts here. She's the one that came up with the idea of the glow or the geocaching log of the week. If you enjoy the geocaching log of the week, you can thank Dora Moore. If you don't like it, you can also contact Dora Moore. Oh, I'm just joking. Kind of. Hey, Dora Moore, we love you. So a geocaching log of the week or a glow is a great log that you've come across. We don't care if you wrote it or you read it because we want to hear about it, because great logs simply make geocaching better. Send an email, a field recording to feedback@cachingnw.com. You can call into 253-693-TFTC or use the voicemail tool on the website and show us how you glow. Now, tonight's glow comes from Dune Buddy. He found the geocache I like school, and school is misspelled. That is GC8139N as in November. Starts off and says, GeoPup and I have a good understanding when it comes to geocaching. She patiently accompanies me while I go down trails, over creeks, into bushes, climbing up trees, sliding down steep hills, and other semi-dangerous attempts to find a cache without telling my snuggle some of the dumb things we do. She will often find the container before I do, patiently waiting near the edge of a path with her paw on it while I try to make the find as hard as I can by charging into the undergrowth, earning a purple heart for all the scratches I get. For this, she is often rewarded with a whipped cream only puppuccino, while I have a much stronger caffeinated version. Now, breaking from the email for a moment, I had no idea there was a puppuccino.
yes. Yep. If you bring your dog to a Starbucks and ask for a puppuccino, they will give you a cup loaded with whipped cream.
Well, there you go. Apparently, I'm not taking my dog with me to enough places, so I would know this. I'm going to do that next time.
This is fixable.
This is fixable. Okay, back to Dune Buddy. He says, on this cache, we didn't have to try any of the questionable approaches to find ground zero, although there was a suspicious 60-meter long orange extension cord that ran from a box along the fence into someone's backyard. Read, free electricity. No, this was an easy walk along a paved path. I guess on this cache, GeoPup was tired of only finding caches and never hiding anything. She selected a hiding spot in plain sight and left her special container. Unfortunately, it was within the 160-meter limit, and I knew the reviewer would not approve this hide. So I pulled out a plastic bag, picked it up, and deposited it in a conveniently located trash can nearby. I guess we completed the cousin to the CITO. That's the CIPO. CIPO. Too bad CIPO doesn't have an icon or souvenir. It was a fun puzzle to solve and a nice find on a beautiful Colorado day. Thank you, Dune Buddy, for that great entry. Hey, did you know what? Hold on here. I've got a graphic here. If I am quick enough, I should have had this up the whole time.
Yeah.
But Dune Buddy has already been given the 2020 Glow badge.
Congrats.
So good work, Dune Buddy. Thank you for that.
Good job.
Good job. Now, folks, if you want to talk about tonight's subject, use the hashtag labs, LABS, and we're not talking about dogs in tonight's chat. And of course, we look forward to you using hashtag FATAS. That's for the after show, to bring up a topic in the after show, and our lovely chat lackey will make sure that we don't miss a thing with just two of us here talking tonight. And, as a monkey can get going on a rant, I may have to pull him back in and miss some of the great conversation going on in the chat.
Well, it's really 1.5 of us because I'm
the half.
No, I'm the half tonight, my friend.
Oh.
But there you go. Anyways, hey, you know what? Before we get into the topic, couple of bits of news. We have an announcement we're going to make later in the show. Is that correct?
That you better believe it.
What are we going to announce?
Well, you have to wait and find out. No, we've had a oh, pardon me. Land Monkey, I thought we weren't supposed to get germs across this connection.
I can't control the interwebs.
Now, folks, I'm not sick, but I have a very dry throat tonight, so it must have been something I ate. Maybe I had too much dessert after dinner. Oh, wait, that would be dessert. No, that's not it. Anyway, I just have a dry throat. I can't seem to get enough water down. And if I drink too much water, I have to rush away from the podcast quickly, and that's awkward. So I'm trying not to drink too much. If you stay tuned in the after show, we will announce the winner of the Land Sharks limited edition trackable set from their latest cruise. How cool is this? There's a winner. We've already picked it. So it's too late now. But you want to stay tuned, especially if you entered into the contest. We had some great entries this contest.
We did. It was fun reading a bunch of them out on previous episodes as well.
Yeah.
So yes, we'll announce that. And our Giga countdown for GeoWoodstock is at 230 Willetens left.
Woohoo! It seems to get smaller every week.
Yeah, that's a good thing. It's a good problem to have. So yeah, every week we're getting closer and closer to getting Giga status, and we're only 230 Willetens away. So if you are listening to this podcast and you haven't logged your Willeten yet and you're planning to come,
make it 229.
Sorry?
Right now.
That's right. Stop this podcast. Go.
There was 229. I feel something in the force. I think we're down to 228 now. There's a disturbance in the force. As if millions of people just logged a will attend. Oh wait, no, that's somehow wrong. Yeah, so right.
There you go. It's all good.
Okay.
Right. So that's the GeoWoodstock news for tonight. We're updating the Giga countdown. I'm sure in future episodes we'll have some more news, but that's where we're at, 230.
Yeah. Wonderful. Hey, I'm seeing in the chat there's also updates of what people did on Leap Day. Go ahead and tell us what you did on Leap Day using hashtag FATAS, and we'll talk about that later. But tonight, now we're getting to the meat of the episode. This is the real reason you joined us tonight, is to find out about Adventure Labs. What are they really? You know what? If you go back to episode 319 with Kev MacD, you will see a super helpful overview and a step-by-step on how to create an adventure lab. And Kev MacD has done a couple of these, so you're going to get pro tips. You're going to get advice that you need to make these look really good. Now, I don't know about you, Land Monkey. I get confused with the terminology. Because they started out as one thing and morphed to another.
Yeah.
I have the old, maybe it's just because I'm old.
No, that's not
okay.
it.
I have the old terminology stuck in my head. So I will make a mistake this evening, and I ask for your forgiveness ahead of time. So the product previously known as, that's like the artist previously known as, Adventure or Lab Caches, is now Adventure Lab. Full stop. Adventure Lab. That's what you want to know. Individual lab caches are now locations in an adventure. So you have adventure labs and locations. Seems simple, but I'm still going to make mistakes.
Oh yeah. I always call them waypoints. I always forget they're called locations, which seems obvious enough. You should be able to remember that, but to me, I just call them waypoints. But maybe again, it's my old geocaching ways sneaking in there. But there you go. Adventure labs and locations. It should be simple, but
It should be, and we'll finally get those kids off our lawn. But
That's right.
it's
Rotten
just
kids.
yeah. Now, there's also a great app called Adventures. Check the app store of your choice to grab that, because that's what you need anymore. You can't use a web page anymore to find these. You have to use the
Yeah.
app.
That's a good point. Yeah, and there's no way you can look in the geocaching.com app
Mhm.
or the geocaching.com website to find adventure labs. They're not there. So that's one of the things that's always there's a lot of people who don't even know they exist and only
Right.
find out about them because or they know they're a thing, but they don't know that a new one has been published because there's no notification system like there are. So yeah, lots of challenges like that.
So yeah, they're while they're in geocaching, they're not in the geocaching any of the geocaching apps that I'm aware of. There may be one or two coming out now that will be able to, you know, pull from that, but I think geocaching.com is going to say no, no.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's not part of the regular what do you call the feed on the back end? The
The API.
API. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, hey, so you, Mr. of the Northwest, have you been given an adventure lab to put out?
No.
Really?
Wait. You mean people have been given these things?
They've so we've been seeing it in the chat already. A few of you, if you're in our chat, go ahead, do the hashtag labs and let us know if you've been given one to put out. Um, I was given one. I had requested one when they did the hey, if you're interested in this, sign up, and I did get one. Mine's been completed and put out just last month, but yeah, there's a lot of people up here in Southwest BC who've been given them lately. Uh,
Hmm.
and what we've also noticed is there's a number of people now who have been given them who didn't ask.
Well, I would have asked for one, and I'm looking at my account now, and I only have one unpublished hide. I'm thinking, well, maybe I missed the email somehow. No, I don't have one.
Hmm,
I have the community celebration event.
very cool. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm very happy with that. But now that I know there's something else that I could have gotten and I didn't, I'm very happy with that as well.
It's very unusual for the Canadian to get something and the American not to. That's
Especially if it's some sort of contest.
yeah, I know, right? Something wrong there. Uh,
Wait, should I go into an American rant
I,
that I
be
didn't
my
get one
guest,
and you did?
please, by all means. Uh, no, so it's interesting, and apparently, what I've heard through other podcasts on the topic with guests from HQ is that they're trying to throughout this year increase the density of adventure labs in areas where they're sparse. So they're giving them out more to some people who are cachers or avid cachers in areas where there's a scarcity of adventure
Mhm.
labs. Although that said, there's a lot of people who've been getting them up here, and we've already got, I think, about 10 put out
Oh,
up in this neck of the woods. I mean, there's 10 just in downtown Seattle itself, I think. Like
yes.
there's a lot there, but
You know, I looked at the Adventure Lab. I'm sorry, the Adventures app. See, I'm going to make a mistake. The Adventures app. That's not too bad to say.
there you go.
And there are 5 within 20 miles of me. So
Well, and that's interesting as well. I noticed that when I
mm,
was looking at the map that when you get down, there's nothing in Tacoma.
there's nothing in my city, but
But as soon
within
as you get
20
outside of
miles of me.
Tacoma,
Yeah.
well, it looks like lots and lots of questions coming in.
Hmm.
So I know they've been our chat lackey. Oh wow, my brain's starting to go here. Chat lackey's been dropping some of these questions in later in the show notes, but I'm gonna roll down here and because I think some of these are good. So there's one from Team Noltex I want to bring up right now because I think this is good timing for this question. So if I scroll up, do you have
Is it this one?
yeah, that's one. So Mrs. Team Noltex wants to know what's the difference between an adventure lab and a Where I Go, which I think is a great question. Chris,
That is a great question.
have a go at me.
Um, uh, and it was answered in quite a good way by UDAC,
Oh, okay.
who said Team Noltex, the difference is an operational and supported app.
Yeah.
Okay, so um, the Where I Go app is finicky. Let's say now it can still work if you go into it the right way. I've had good and bad experiences with Where I Go's using the Where I Go app on iOS. Okay, your mileage may vary. The Adventures is very much like a Where I Go, but a very simple Where I Go, if you get my drift, because Where I Go's can be quite complicated, where you pick up pieces of equipment or items, and then you can drop those in different locations to make things happen. So Adventures are uh, more like a large multi with multimedia.
Yeah. The Adventure Lab doesn't give you a lot of options on um, programmatically adding ways to play, whereas Where I Goes, you could actually code in a lot of different types of functions. So you could have the adventure play out in a lot of different ways. Whereas with Adventure Labs, it's pretty much going to play out of go to a location, identify some sort of code word, enter in that code word,
Mhm.
and then you move on to the next location. Is more or less that's the it's a linear gameplay. And
Right. So some of the some of the advantages of adventures, wow, are media rich storytelling. You
yeah,
can do pictures, you can do videos, you can do audio. It also has a public directory that's easy to search, and now a map to search that looks really good. It has location validation, so it makes sure you're there. And it has the option for linear gameplay, meaning you have to go ABC, you know,
right. Yeah, we're
or
going to
you
talk
can take
about
that
that.
away and go ADBC.
Why don't we talk about that right now? The sequential order versus so linear gameplay, sequential order
Mhm.
versus I don't know, call it random order or playing the locations in any order that you choose.
Yeah. That's an option when you set up the adventure.
Right.
You
Yeah. So
can
you
say, I want
choose.
it sequential or I don't.
Right.
It depends if you're trying to tell a story or not. You
And
know, if you're just going, if you're showing landmarks in your town and it doesn't matter what order you see them in, right? You're going to go to a statue, you're going to go to a clock, you're going to go to a bridge. It doesn't matter what order you see them in. They're landmarks, and each stop is a fully encased story. You learn about it, you answer the correct question, you move on. If you want to tell a progressive story of perhaps, oh, this is where the first house was in our town, and 5 years later they built this school, and here's the logging, and you go through that, and you want it to be more progressive, then you do it in order. Now, sometimes it helps to do a sequential or progressive story if you say, you want them to go down a path in a certain direction so that they can conveniently come back to where they started, or, close to where they parked, what have you. So you
so
want to guide them somewhere.
yeah, so you hit the nail on the head for me on this, and I think um, if if you force somebody to play it in a sequential order and you're not really telling a story, it drives me nuts. I've done a whole lot of adventure labs and I've done some that force you to play in a sequential order for no other reason other than the person who created it was really just trying to make it harder for somebody to spoof the whole adventure lab
Hmm.
um, without being at the actual geolocation. And And that just annoys me because there's no good reason for doing it. And
Mhm.
that's like, now you forced me to play it the way you want to play it, which is, it could be inconvenient to me because now I have to go over there instead of over here where I wanted to be. Um, and it just seems pointless to do it. So if you're going to use the sequential order, actually use it for a reason. And the reason should be either telling a story or because there's an actual logical way that makes the most sense based on parking, based on transit, whatever it is, to walk the route. But even then, like, I would, even if it's like a parking or transit thing, I would still give people the choice to do it in whatever
Mhm.
order they want to do it. And in the description text, you can say, hey, why don't, because you can put coordinates in the description text, like put parking coordinates or right here. Why don't you park here to do this adventure lab? This will be the easiest way to do it and start there. You can do that, but don't force people to play sequentially unless you have a reason to make them do it. So there's rant number one.
Wow. You were prepared with that.
Yeah, that one's a pet peeve for me. When people make you play it in a sequential order and there's no reason to. All right.
Wow, the chat is active, and I
Yeah.
had, there you go. Starcasher says mine will likely not be sequential. So there
Which
you
is
go.
fine. Again,
Red Monkey, you can go find his.
oh no, like Start Cacher, great. But I mean, Start Cacher, if you were building one that actually told a story and had points in a row, no reason not to be sequential, right? Like that makes sense to make it sequential if you're doing that. But yeah, if you're um and I see another one from Start Cacher here. He says, I'm trying to figure out the best way to give bonus cash coords partial at each location without making it sequential. And I'll tell you what, I did one recently up here. And what the CO did is on each of the images. So like, when you go to each of the different waypoints, um, and once you answer the correct question, it can bring up an image. And what he did is on each of the images that bring up after you put the right answer in the four corners of the image, he had either letter or number. I can't remember what he did. But then what you do is you just go, okay, so you have five different locations to work with. So you can have five different numbers or letters you can put in. And then I think what he did, I can't remember. Now I can't remember how he did it. But anyways, but it was like that. So it was on the image themselves. So it didn't have to be sequential and it still gave out um, bonus cash information in kind of a puzzle sort of way. And it worked really well.
I was
So
going to say, or you could, when you answer, you could say A equals 7,
yeah,
B equals it. And so the final location is, your coordinates with ABC after it.
yeah.
So you have options to do it that way. That you can find them in any order, and you could, remember to write down the values of those letters and then go solve it.
Yeah. Yep. Jump in.
GSM times 2 also says where I goes are much more flexible. It can play games and some can be played anywhere. So
Yes.
there's another good.
Well, apparently there was a brief point in time where adventure labs could be played anywhere, but that's a
Well,
whole
that's
other
true.
conversation. Yeah, we won't go down that rabbit trail, but because the guidelines are the guidelines, the rules are the rules now,
Mhm.
and I think it's good that HQ has been clear about how they want these to be done, because whether you agree with it or not, at least the rules are clear, so we can all play by them.
Right.
What's up? What are you thinking about? You're
I'm
reading.
sorry. I went to go click and somebody popped in and I lost it. Seabeck Tribe says the Going Ape event lab cache was very frustrating because by the time I figured out what it was, I was already in the tunnel. So that's interesting.
So
Now,
maybe there could have been the opportunity for more information about the adventure lab before.
I think so. I mean, I heard about it anecdotally.
Okay,
Afterward.
I think there was information on the event page, but it's the Going Ape event page traditionally has been a pretty busy web page, so I can see it would be probably tough to find that.
UDAC has another great comment. Another downside to sequential making your lab caches in a sequential order. Your locations sequential. See,
I
I'm
know
supposed
it's
to mess
hard.
is that the builder is very sensitive, and I didn't know that I accidentally moved a location out of order until I read it in someone's log.
Oh no.
So,
Okay. There you go. Yeah, that would suck.
um, I think this may be planned between the Geo Travelers and Mrs. Landsharks, and they both don't know why people feel they need to make a bonus cache.
Well, it's an option you have. They in the guidelines, you can do that if you want. I mean, I think the thing is that right now Adventure Labs are primarily played by geocachers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people outside of geocaching are very familiar with Adventure Labs yet. And so I think there's still that feeling in geocachers of I still want to find a physical container at some point in time. And so I think that's why people want to do that. I've seen it done really well. The one I was talking about earlier is an adventure lab with a bonus final that you do. Subway Mark actually would love this one because you do the adventure lab by following the Canada line on the SkyTrain system
Mm-hmm.
we have up here, and you go outside of the stations and you observe some art and you answer some questions, and then you go back in and you ride a couple more stations.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. It's really well done, and there's a bonus cache um, near one of the I always want to say waypoints. Anyways, it's a short walk,
Locations.
um, but again, it's done in a way that it the puzzle for it and the hide itself really complement the whole theme. So I think it's well done. It's not just and randomly I'm going to throw out a mystery cache so you can get that too. It is actually done quite well that way. So I think that would be one to look at as an example. Um, I think it's called Next Station is I think is the name of the adventure lab. But yeah, it's up here in Vancouver.
Um, GSM times two answered and says, I put out a bonus cache and a multi cache to give people a geocaching experience. That's the reason GSM times two makes it a bonus cache there.
Yep. Uh, it, so hold on. A bonus cache and a multi?
Well, maybe the bonus cache is a multi. I don't know.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. But I mean, you do whatever you'd like, and some people will choose not to put out a bonus cache. You don't have to. Um, I think one of the things that I like about Adventure Labs is that it's opening up a different way of playing geocaching to people who maybe aren't into
Mm-hmm.
geocaching. And I think it has a really great opportunity of working with um, tourism groups and cities and universities and places like that. In fact, um, there is a very recent geocaching.com blog article. If you go to geocaching.com/blog, it's called Adventure Lab Spotlights, an interview with the creator of the MSUS Native American Art and Culture Tour.
Yes. This was
And
very nice.
yeah, and so they um, I can't tell by reading the article if the person was a geocacher or not, but somebody at the university there in Montana went out and um, built a five location. I just want to say waypoint, a five location.
See, the monkey can learn.
I know slowly adventure lab that doesn't have anything else to do with geocaching, but is to highlight different Native American art on their campus.
Nice.
And so, which is a great idea for an adventure lab, but just the way that article reads, it kind of reads like this was done independently of the whole geocaching concept and was really done in support of um, the tourism aspect of visiting the art on this campus. So yeah,
Nice.
so I think adventure labs are giving the opportunity for people to um, who aren't necessarily hardcore into geocaching to now use that same kind of geolocation technology and the gamification of
Mhm.
that to have a bit of a different experience.
Well, and if you go back and listen to episode 319, you're going to find out a lot of other uses that Kev MacD thought of. I mean, it would be great for school teachers to be able to have their classes, do some of this gamification. You can mark them private so they're not public, so people won't be wandering on your school grounds trying to find these things. It could be good for, I'll come up with it. Big conferences where vendors want you to go to, or maybe the conference people who get the thing together. Boy, Land Monkey, I caught whatever you have in the brain.
Yeah.
The coordinators want you to go, to the different booths or whatever. They could set up an adventure and guide you to that and have you do that nicely within an app, and it'd all be self-contained. Okay. I've got a comment here from GSM times 2, and I have a feeling it's going to kick off monkey rant number 2.
Go for it.
It says, did people do anything to prevent couch logging of Adventure Labs? And Kev MacD really did talk about this on episode 319. He made it so that his answers were not readily Googleable. Yeah. Is that a word? Did I say it right?
Yeah.
You could use Google or use Google Street View to, zoom in on the plaque and find out the answer he's looking for.
Yeah. UDAC's looking after our best interests here, suggesting tea and chicken soup for the host. Thank you very much, UDAC. Appreciate that.
Aw.
So yeah,
some Ginkgo biloba for me.
Yeah.
So I can remember what I want to say.
I don't like people armchair Adventure Labs
people are going to play the game the way the people are going to play.
And they are. So what are you going to do about it, right? So you can just throw your hands up and you go, whatever. Or you can do, I have seen an Adventure Lab where the answers are so complex that it's almost like doing a puzzle at every stop. And it was an attempt to prevent people from armchairing, but then it just makes it an unpleasant experience to do the stops of the locations. So I think you need to find a balance. And I think what Kev MacD's suggestion is a good way of doing that. And I think the idea is when you get to that location, don't use something that's readily Googleable. And maybe think of like combining two things, but don't make it super complex. Just make it simple. Like, so if there's a plaque and the plaque for whatever reason is not necessarily Google, like plaques are tricky sometimes because they can be Googleable, but for whatever reason you find something, maybe it's like on the back side of the statue, there's a name and a date. And just say, put the name and date in with a hyphen between them. And that way it'll be harder for people to Google it and try and armchair it, because the reality is the people who really, really, really want to cheat, they're gonna break the geofencing because they can spoof where the phone is.
And we didn't even talk about geofencing yet.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So yeah, we'll talk about geofencing in a few minutes. But so I think the best way is just to focus on making the experience as positive for the person who's doing it as possible. And tweak it a little bit so it's not super easy to guess, but don't go over the top because then it's just going to be a pain in the butt for people who are trying to do it.
Right. Yeah. Dora Moore asks, how would you know what the question is without going to the location? Well, some people can have their phone fake the location they're at.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Komakino says, I'm keeping my geofencing area small on my newest Adventure Lab. So you have to be right at the location to answer it. And I agree with that. But at the same time, I hope that all his finders have accurate phones that will show, where they are. So I can see positive and negative for that.
Do we want to
positive and negative in everything?
Yeah. Do we want to talk geofencing a bit?
We can.
Okay.
Let's talk geofencing.
So let's first describe what it is for everybody. So geofencing is the idea that you set a perimeter of distance, usually in meters. Americans, from from ground zero of
It's
how
yards. We can translate.
okay, there you go. The basically yards of how close or far you must be from the ground zero in order to have the question come up in the adventure lab. So that's the geofence. I don't know if I explained that very well.
So yeah, it sets up
An imaginary fence, really.
an imaginary fence in a circular pattern around your ground zero. You said how many meters you want that fence to be. If you're inside that circle, you're all good. If you're outside that circle, too bad.
Yeah. Yeah. So that, yeah, so there's the thing. So now some people,
And
and Kev MacD talked about having a really large geofence
mhm,
because it allows people, if they don't have data, cellular data, while they're doing your adventure lab, that it would allow them distance enough to go somewhere where they can get the data and then type the answers in, so they can visit all the waypoints. Sorry, visit all the locations,
you got it.
and then go back wherever it is that they can get data and put the answers in, which is one way of doing it. Um, it's it.
It
Go ahead.
depends on what you're going for.
Yeah, it does.
Mrs. Landshark says a geofence is like an anchor alarm if you're a boater.
There you go. I love it. That's awesome. Yeah, it's how much slack you have until you don't have any more.
Brylang says, I set my geofencing up to 1 kilometer from the locations. That lets people go to nearby shopping malls to enter their answers and perhaps use their Wi-Fi if you're, out of, I'm thinking like, as we travel a bit for these possible giga events that we're going to this summer, if you go over the border into Canada and you're an American, perhaps data is going to be expensive for you. So having, a large geofence area allows you to, go to that coffee shop, connect to their Wi-Fi and answer your questions. Or having a very narrow one, hopefully will prevent some of the couch loggers.
Hopefully, yeah.
So
So Udak asks, why is geofencing in meters instead of feet? Can I answer this one?
we're going to move on now. No, go ahead. Monkey rant number 3.
Because almost the rest of the world uses meters. There's just not a lot of countries use feet. So,
Just the important ones.
yeah. Anyways.
Let's see.
But yeah, so geofencing, and so there's lots of great conversation going on in the chat right now.
Yes, there is.
People discussing different ideas around geofencing, and so here I'm going to grab this one here from GSM times 2. He said, "What?" asking what did people set for their geofencing? He said, "I set it at 20 meters because I have good internet and clear view of the sky, so good coordinates, no issues yet." And then there's been a lot of response and discussion.
Dora Moore says it matters to me. No one's cheated on mine yet. Komakino says no spoofers on mine yet.
That was GS sometimes you replying to Dora Moore, because Dora Moore had asked earlier, if people are that dedicated to cheat and just let them do it, does it really matter? So again, talking about geofencing and geofencing for the purposes of people not cheating. But
yay, metric system.
there you go. Awesome. Was that rant number 3 or only number 2? I can't remember.
Well,
it wasn't really a rant. I mean, honestly.
See, now you're ranting about rants. So
was that?
Are we on to 4?
Come on, that wasn't really a rant.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
All right. Komakino went with 50 meters. And so, yeah, everybody's trying different things. But I think the bottom line is that you want to consider, do you want to make it so that people have that opportunity? Like, do you want to accommodate people who won't have mobile data? Really is
right.
Is what you're trying to accommodate by having a very large geofence versus a tighter geofence. So for mine, I kind of split the difference a little bit, but I know that there is a free Wi-Fi service all along the route where my adventure lab is. So I kept them on the smaller side, um, knowing that if somebody doesn't have mobile data, they can pick it up.
Mhm.
But I've also had a friend make the comment to me privately saying, "Who doesn't have mobile data these days?"
Well, yes, but again, I'm thinking of the international traveler. Yes, you may have mobile data, but it may be stinking expensive, right? If you don't have a plan. Some people will just travel and not realize, "Oh, I forgot about my phone and I need data. I'm just going to try it." And it could run up your bill very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Which again, for me, it was convenient that where I put mine, there is free Wi-Fi,
mhm,
public Wi-Fi available, and that's a good point. That people who are traveling may not have mobile data, so it's a consideration that you can make, but it's a choice. If you're the person putting out the adventure lab, you can
mhm.
choose whether you're going to try to accommodate that or not.
So I think that gives you a good opportunity to make friends, right? So as you're traveling, oh, are you doing this adventure lab as well?
There you
Do
go.
you have data? Could I, you know, log my finds on your phone with your data? Then we would become friends forever. I will buy you a coffee in this local coffee shop.
I will buy you a coffee with your credit card information. I will take off your phone.
Yes. Thank you very much. What's your mother's maiden name by chance as
Yeah,
we walk in these locations? Oh, sorry. Um, that went dark quickly.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, so it gives you an opportunity maybe to reach out to a new geocaching friend you haven't met yet. If they're a local in country, perhaps they have um, I forgot the word, data sharing or
Yeah.
hotspot that they could allow you to connect to log your adventure. There's lots of different ways to work around this.
Yeah.
But just know that it could be a concern.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. One other comment before we move off of the topic of geofences. Highlands guy made a comment that I thought was a good one, um, and he was saying that at GeoWoodstock in Fort Worth, one of the adventure labs had tight geofencing, but that became an issue with the tall buildings and had to move around a lot because, as we all know, GPS does not work well in urban centers.
Hmm.
And so that's one of the risks that you need to think about as well if you're going to go super tight with your geofencing. So
Hmm.
there's probably a middle ground there to consider. But those are some of the different considerations to bring in when you're looking at building an adventure lab and thinking about geofencing.
The geo traveler says, I don't expect Wi-Fi to be provided home or abroad.
Well, there you go.
And Mrs. Landshark says international data is way cheaper for international travelers than for Canadians. Canadians pay some of the highest data in the world. All visitors will have all visitors we have discussed data and had cheap global data. So yes, there are options, but you have to plan ahead. It's not something you can just do on the fly.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to get to. Most people should have data, especially if you're a geocacher. You should probably have already thought about this, but you now being able to cache all your information on your phones ahead of time. mm,
So
so I
so
keep going back and forth. I'm not giving you a good answer.
yeah. Well,
The answer is maybe,
yeah,
sometime,
and
could be.
that's the thing is it's like the sequential versus random locations. Like you can do either, but have a good reason for why you're doing it. Don't just
Mhm.
do it because. Don't just do it because it'll stop people from suing because it sure as heck won't. So,
Right.
so just think about what you're doing, and talk to a community of other people who have been putting out adventure labs and get some advice. Understand the reasons for doing one or the other, and then make your own choice.
Mhm.
And in the end, if it's your adventure lab, you are choosing how to put it out. Um, Mr. Landsharks brought up something that I also wanted to talk about on this episode. Not overlapping adventure labs.
Or
So
locations.
yes, the
Oh,
location.
adventure labs themselves or the locations within an adventure lab?
Well, you can't overlap the locations within an adventure lab because a location is a location. I mean, unless you're talking about geofencing again, but he's talking about overlapping actual adventure labs. And this is okay. Now this is rant number 4. This is definitely a pet peeve of mine, because the Adventure Lab app will only allow you to play one Adventure Lab at a time. So if people put the locations for different Adventure Labs intermingled, then it becomes very frustrating for the player because they will be doing an Adventure Lab. They'll be going from point to point to point, and then they're going to get to a point where, okay, I finished this Adventure Lab. Oh, but I walked past I walked past locations for 3 other Adventure Labs. Now I got to go back there and do those ones.
Mhm.
And if those
Yep.
are sequential, now you're even more screwed.
Yeah.
So if you can, try not to mesh them. Try not to have them overlapping, because it's just going to be a bit of a problem. And this is one of the things that's um, concerns me, that HQ is handing these out, but there's no governance on it. There's no reviewing on them per se. Yeah, you did start a rant.
Sorry, I had to pop that up. Yeah, I started a
Congratulations.
rant.
It's not, honestly, it's not hard.
No,
To
no.
start a rant with me.
Just start Land Monkey talking and a rant pops out.
The rants just come. But if you think about it, right? Like, because of the way the app works, and the way that they've uh, been given out, people, if you're in an area, really try and collaborate with everybody else and all the other geocachers in your area. Try and collaborate so that you're putting them out in a way where you're not going to cause problems for the people who are playing them. And one of the problems is when they overlap, or similar to that is Trexer's comment about oversaturation.
Mhm.
Um, and he's saying, is no review process a good thing? It depends on how many get put out, and how good people are at placing them. I have to say, in Metro Vancouver, so far, everybody who's put one out has been really vigilant about this topic and done a really good job, that they really don't overlap. Um, Marginally, there's probably a little bit of overlap with one or two, but really, you can play all 10 Adventure Labs in the Metro Vancouver area with basically no overlapping, and it's quite straightforward, and it works really well because the people who put them out have thought about this. But that doesn't mean that everybody's going to. It doesn't mean that everybody's going to communicate and plan. So, to that end, in the hopes of trying to deal with that problem as well as others, and other problems such as, I got an Adventure Lab, I don't know what to do.
Mhm.
I created a Facebook group, that I would encourage people in BC to join if you haven't already. In fact, it's close to 30 people have already joined it, which is awesome. And I really appreciate that. But it's called Southern BC Adventure Lab Creators. And the idea is it's a private Facebook group, so that, just not everybody in the world can join it. It's just the people who live in this area to be able to collaborate with each other and say, hey, I got an Adventure Lab. These are my questions. Who knows the answers? Or I have an Adventure Lab. I'm thinking of putting it here. Is anybody else thinking about that? And then we can work together. We can collaborate to make Adventure Lab experiences a very positive experience for the people who go to play them. Okay, that's my rant.
Whew. End rant. Okay, let's start a new rant. This one comes from you, Dak. Do you think the new Adventure Lab app is a way to refresh the game board with a new board?
Oh, if we're gonna do that, then I think we're going about it the wrong way.
Yeah. It adds a layer, and you have to do it with a different app, so it's not convenient, to have multiple apps open. I mean, you have to keep jumping back and forth, and
Yeah.
why I don't think that's their intention. I really think their intention is more of a commercial use, be that visitor bureaus or conventions or other things like that. Um, and yes, geocachers get to play along as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think refreshing the game board, the geocaching game board, is a great idea. I think people
Mhm,
like GSM times two have had some really, really good suggestions about things people should be thinking about and doing to refresh the game board.
mhm.
And I really encourage that. But I don't think Adventure Labs I don't think that's the intent. Um,
Right.
yeah.
Now, Mr. Landsharks is not creating a rant here. He says, if you have an adventure lab and don't know what to do, you don't need to do anything. Play some adventure labs, talk to some people before you do anything. That's great advice.
Yeah.
Great
Absolutely.
advice. Yeah. Don't rush out because, I got this. Let me put it out right now.
Yeah.
Take time. Go do a couple. Think about a great location in your town or wherever you want to go, and talk to other people. Or listen to episode 319 and talk to Kev MacD.
There you go. Yep. He had a lot of great advice on that episode. I would definitely encourage people to go back and listen to episode 319. It had lots of really good advice and pro tips on how to build and how to use the
Mhm.
builder, because the builder isn't intuitive either. I mean, once you use it and you get through, you're like, oh, okay, I see where this is going. But when you first look at it, it's a little intimidating because you have this feeling like, if I click on this or if I put some data in here, is something going to happen? And all of a sudden I'm
Right.
screwed, right? So
Now, the new adventure labs that people are getting, I believe, are only 5 locations maximum, right? Where the adventure labs that, say, a mega event got were 10 locations maximum.
and mega events are still getting 10 location adventure labs as far
Okay.
as
So that's a little different. So if you find a 5 location adventure lab, you know that it's an individual and not an event.
more or less. But again, remember, you don't
It
have
could
to
be.
use all 5.
That's true. That's true.
You can use all 5 if you want, or you only have to use 3 out of the 5 or 4 out of the 5 if that makes more sense for the adventure that you're taking people on. Yes, and GSM Times 2 also reminded us that per Mr. Landshark's comment, that they did extend the cutoff date to June, which is great, and I totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
So that you don't need to be in a rush if you've been granted one of these suckers.
Komakino, I'm just going to throw this out. We talked about data in different countries. When my wife visits Japan, she rents a portable MiFi device to connect to her phone's data. Portable Wi-Fi. It's like $20.
Yeah,
So,
you can get those in a lot of countries.
yes.
So yeah, I think there's certainly answers for the whole question about, and this is going back really to the geofencing topic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's definitely lots
Well,
of.
I'm going to bring up one more.
Okay.
We've almost gone an hour, so
Oh, so
we need to get to the after show because we've got good content in there as well.
Yeah.
UDAC says, has anyone noticed that the logs on their adventure labs are shorter than the ones for their traditional caches? GSM Times 2 says, yeah, there's a limit on how many characters that can be used. Also, the log comes up before the last journal, so you can edit the log at any time, which most people probably don't know.
I don't think most people do know that. In fact, I wasn't even aware of that you could edit the log at any time. And honestly, you kind of feel rushed because you just finished your adventure lab and now it pops up, because normally when you're logging a cache, you log it at your own pace, right? You
Right.
write your log, your glow at your own pace, either when you get home or, kind of on the fly, whatever you're doing. But with the adventure lab, you kind of feel rushed, like, oh, shoot, this just popped up. I've got to write this right now.
Because if I don't, I won't be at this location to finish it in the future, perhaps.
Yeah, so
That's exactly what Doramore said. I write short logs on the adventure labs because I hate logging on my phone. I'm usually the last person in the group to finish, and I'm being encouraged to hurry up and get to the next cache.
there you go.
Yeah.
So knowing that you can actually go and go back and edit them is very handy to know.
Well, folks, you've had such great feedback tonight. We appreciate it. I'm sorry we couldn't get to all of it. There's so much
to do another show on this topic.
We may have to, and just start pulling in all this great information. We appreciate you guys. But thank you so much. Hey, you know what? I want to get to the after show because we've got great content there as well.
And we're going to be announcing a prize winner.
Now, folks, if you don't know about the after show, stay around for a couple of minutes. and we'll tell you all about it.
Very cool. Well,
But go
before
ahead.
we do that, we want to take a moment to thank Landsharks, our corporate Denali level sponsor. Landsharks.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Check them out online or go in person to visit their store in Victoria, British Columbia. And hey, pick up that latest special, the How to Puzzle Cache Book and Supplement. They are open 6 days a week except holidays, and they ship online orders daily. We also want to thank our faithful Denali level supporters. That's, of course, Landsharks, JP's Geo Designs, Limax, Team Squirrel, and Groovy Owl. If you want to know more about supporting the show, click the Patreon link on the cachingNW.com, a website.
Like these people did, and we have to start with Seebeck Tribe.
And then Fairwood West.
Don't forget CRS 98.
I won't. And Trexer Zero.
Broncos fan for life.
T. Sayer.
Hey, what about Billy Robson?
What about Billy Robson?
Yeah.
What about the Geo Travelers?
Oh, I wonder about Antaeus.
I don't wonder about Team Noltex.
You have to question Sprouter.
Well, there's Sege Hove.
And then Kennel Barb.
And the entire Camp Clan.
Yeah. And a man we've mentioned much on this show, Kev MacD.
Kev MacD. Well, I'm going to say it one more time. Kev MacD. There you go.
Oh, Kev MacD.
Kev MacD. Hey, there's Kid Vegas 19.
Hey, what about MNerf?
What about Alarobrick?
Oh, have you seen Wino Seattle?
Not recently, nor have I seen V Pendragon recently.
We heard from Dora Moore tonight.
We did. And Kitty West.
Oh, he's so quiet. And keeping with the kitty themes is them three cats.
There you go. And also recently I've seen GeoNav Pros.
We heard from Dune Buddy. He gave the glow this evening.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've seen LG 9000.
Mm-hmm. Highlands guy was in the chat with us.
He was. Mm-hmm. And Tick Magnet's always around.
Yeah. And you mentioned Subway Mark because he loves anything to do with trains.
He does. Absolutely. And Logworks.
Yeah. What about Genies? He's a nice guy.
Well, how about Boomer 365?
Ackerdock lives in Alaska.
That's a good place.
Yeah.
Keats 94 is going to be going to Nova Scotia soon, I bet.
He seems to go a lot.
That's why I'm saying that.
Okay.
The odds are pretty good.
And we've heard a lot from GSM times too.
We have. We haven't heard from Wet Coaster and Greenwords.
Oh. So one more time before we wrap, I was going to ask Land Monkey where we can find him, and he just disappears.
No, I'm back. Thank you for that moment that I needed. Sorry, what's the question?
I don't know. I like this. In your best Seinfeld impression, what's the deal with patron member GSM times 2?
What's the deal?
What's the deal?
Oh, too funny. All right. So where can people find us? Where can people find you, Chris of the Northwest?
Well, you just look for Caching NW. That can be on Twitter. That can be on Facebook. Better yet, go to cachingnw.com. Click on the host button. You can look there. You could find things about Land Monkey there.
You can.
What could they find?
Or you could follow us on Twitter, Instagram at LandMonkeyGC. You can check out landmonkey.ca, our website. And I've got a couple of videos that I'm almost done editing. I'm just waiting till my voice gets better so I can do the overdub.
Ooh, overdub. No, you should do it with your extra deep voice.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Your 3-pack a day voice?
Yeah. There you go. All right. Well, anyways, why don't we wrap this up so we can get into the after show? Because everybody wants the after show.
We keep talking about the after show. Hey, folks, thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Don't forget that you can be part of the show. Call into 253-693-TFTC. Leave us a comment, ask us a question, or offer to get chicken soup for a sickly monkey any time of the day or night. Of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingnw.com. Your support helps keep the quality shows coming. If you like the show, click the Patreon link on the cachingnw.com website and subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and more. as if there could be more. Give us a thumbs up or even a review. The show's produced by Chris Umfenauer, Jim Paulwitz, and Jay Kennedy. It's licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Copyright 2020 by Chris Umfenauer. Now, stay tuned for
The After Show.
You know,
We did it.
we did it. We got through, and I said I was going to tell you what the after show is when we got to the after show, and we're in
The After Show.
the after show. So, the after show is a time where we get to chat with those live listeners. I assume every listener is live. Those who have joined us live on the podcast. And, you know, we get to talk about things that you're interested in. Maybe what you did on Leap Day. That's one of the things we're going to talk about. Maybe an event that you're excited that you're hosting or that you're going to, or a geocache that you found, or, you know, this cute painted rock you came across. We don't care what it is. We want to talk to you.
Yes,
So,
we do.
Now we just did a contest.
We
for
did.
2 weeks. Sorry. Holy Barry White, bad man. Says Kino.
There you go.
Imagine you could join a group to go geocaching anywhere in the world. Tell us where and be entered in the contest to win. You can win a limited edition coin and tag set from Landshark's 2020 Caribbean Cruise Travel Adventure. So,
So we had plenty of entries.
we had plenty of
We had
entries.
lots of different unique ideas of where people might want to go if they could. We had lots of Australia and New Zealand. We had
Mhm.
lots of Antarctica.
Yeah.
We had
I thought
some
that was
different
interesting.
places in Europe. Had a couple places in Asia. Nobody said your backyard, Chris.
Huh. That's because I haven't hit a geocache back there that I published.
Ah, okay.
My dog hides little containers back there all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not in the cedars that you can see outside from your kitchen while you're sitting with Jim.
Oh, I shouldn't I? And just laugh at them. Not that one. Oh. No, not my backyard.
Not
But
your
the winner says they would like to go to New Zealand.
Ooh. Oh, so we're narrowing down who the winner is.
Yes. So if there was somebody who said, "Hey, I said I'd like to go to New Zealand," you know who that is. Now we'll narrow it down some more and say the winner is CRS 98. That really narrows it down.
Congrats. Sierra.
Congratulations, CRS 98. Send us an email with your physical mailing address, and we will pass that on to the Landsharks and get that coin to you, coin and tag set, just as quickly as we can.
Yes. And for those
Did I stretch it out long enough?
we really made that painful.
Yeah.
For those who didn't win, thank you for participating. We really appreciated seeing all of your great ideas and thoughts about where you'd like to go geocaching. And there'll always be another contest coming up at some
Oh
point.
yes.
So stay tuned, follow the podcast. There will be another contest.
So GSM times 2 asked, "What did you do for Leap Day?"
What did you do for Leap Day, Chris of the Northwest?
I did several. I have not checked my Project GC badge gen since I did Leap Day.
Really?
I went and I had trouble finding. Wits End and I went out to he dragged me out to a breakfast event, and I'm not much of a morning person, but this was a free breakfast event. Yes, a free breakfast. So the host had a bunch of coupons for this restaurant, and the first 30 people would get a free breakfast. I'm like, wow, how can you beat that? So yes, we went and got a free breakfast. And then, I had trouble finding a multi-cache to do. I wanted to find a multi for that badge gen to have that on February 29th. So we finally found one that worked. There were a couple that we just couldn't find the final location, and we weren't the first one. Let's see. Komakino says, "I went to my first CITO on Leap Day. Congratulations." Seabeck Tribe says, "I held an event in the morning, then went to my daughter's wedding in the late afternoon." That
Wow.
anniversary gifts are really tough because they're only getting a gift every 4 years. Better be a worthwhile gift.
There you go.
Komakino says, I also found two traditionals, an earth cache, a multi, and explored my areas for an adventure lab.
Very cool.
Dora Moore says, I had to work on Leap Day, but I got to do a brand new adventure lab and its accompanying puzzle cache between work and an event close by.
Very cool.
GSM times 2 says, I worked very hard to add to my add-ons to get to my add-ons for badge gens. I think I got 6 updated from 4 that I did not have at the jewel level yet. It was a good day.
Awesome. Congratulations, GSM times 2.
Trexer 0 says 15 hours, 2 countries, 31 caches, 9 cache types, 5 different sizes, an FTF, and 26,000 steps. 312 kilometers, including challenging terrain and a difficulty resulting in an amazing and challenging terrain and difficulty resulted in an amazing Leap Day adventure. Wow. I should have went with him.
Yeah, that's
I enjoyed
pretty hard to top that. That's pretty impressive.
Monkey Cake says, Leap Day, we went to 2 events, a CETO, found a multi, a mystery, a traditional, and 3 DNFs.
No. There should be a badge for DNFs.
Yeah.
Just because you need to respect people who log their DNFs.
Exactly. Star Casher went to an afternoon event, found a close cache. The event was a wrap-up of a 5-hour poker run activity that I did not participate in. Holy cow.
Wow, 5 hours. Cool.
Alpines found a cache near a former World War II Japanese internment camp in the Sunshine Valley.
Cool. Ooh. There you go. And
now Highlands guy says Cabela's Canada has a Garmin GPS Map 64 on sale for $220. That's $100 off. Says I use the GPS Map 64 and like it.
I would imagine that's Canadian dollars.
I would assume, since it's Cabela's Canada.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for a new GPS, that might just be your solution.
There you go.
If you're not looking for a GPS, that might still be your solution.
Keats94 said that he found his very first adventure lab in Ladner on Leap Day.
Nice.
Very cool. And Trexer reminds us that the new Snag the Tag game kicks off on March 18th. It's called Mission Mammoth. Hider packs are available now at Shop Geocaching. Don't forget to set up your new tag alerts for the new game. Yeah, that's a good point.
Nice.
Good advice. All right. Well,
GSM times 2 wants to know how many people changed their Leap Day plans after the badge gen changes were announced. Yeah,
I did. That changed my plans. But then my plans got changed on me again by getting sick. So
that's no fun.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I think we ought to save our voices and our brain power.
Yeah,
folks,
I think that's a good idea. We'll wrap it up.
We certainly appreciate you. Thank you for the great conversation we've had tonight. We can't do that by ourselves. We need your help. Trust me. I mean, you've seen what we can do on our own. We forget things, but we need you. So we appreciate you. And until next week, get out and get caching in the Northwest.